Welcome to the Stronger Leader Podcast, home of the hashtag Stronger movement, where we explore the fascinating tapestry of human experience. I'm your host, Tony Cardello. Each episode, we'll sit down with a remarkable guest to dive into their unique journeys, from successful business leaders to individuals who have faced the darkest of times and emerged stronger, even from some of the inspiring youth of this emerging generation. We'll also cover essential topics on marriage, leadership, as well as spiritual, physical, and mental health, all in hopes to provide you with the tools and motivation to navigate your own life's challenges. Whether you're here to learn, grow, or simply be inspired, there's something for everyone. So get comfy, settle in, and join us as we embark upon this journey together. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as well. Turn on the notifications so you'll know whenever we drop new content. All right, let's get started. Boom, boom.
This is like legit though.
Oh yeah, watch this. Yep. Come on now. Welcome to another episode of the Stronger Leader Podcast. It's your host, Tony Cardello. I'm here with my girl, Shaeley Walsh. Shay baby, what's up, girl?
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course.
This is awesome.
I love that. I knew you were going to get a kick out of that first part.
I mean, I'm very impressed just from your soundboard.
I mean, you know, the first guy I had on here goes, how long did that take you to put that together? Good news is,
that's a great question.
it's programmed on the board.
Who programmed it for you?
It comes like that. It's pre-programmed.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you have
great.
like a big red button that says press me.
That's it.
That's okay. That makes more sense.
It's got all of it, right? Got that one.
I don't like that one as much.
Right. Oh, wait. Hold on. Turn that back off. Wait. What's this? There we have the beautiful Miss Shaeley Walsh.
I love that one.
All right. So, Shaylee, man, I'm so glad you're here. This story, well, first of all, let me just explain to you how I know Shaylee. Shaylee and my niece Angel were like besties growing up all through. Did you guys start in grade school, middle school? Where'd you guys meet?
Mostly high school. We knew each other in middle school, but we weren't close until the Hertzogs took me in. So high school. Which
is all part of the story, and we'll get to that. So Shaylee and Angel, if you guys know my niece Angel, she'll be on here at some point.
Everybody knows Angel.
Everybody knows Angel. And they were friends for a long time. Angel moved to Florida. I knew Shaylee when she was in high school from coming over to my brother's house. And then, Angel moved away. So obviously we had no reason to hang out with Shaylee anymore. And although we should have, that's terrible.
I mean,
that's terrible.
Where's that button? Wah, wah.
Yeah, I know. Wait, never mind. Oh, there it is. I gotta get better at this. Anyway, so Shaylee and so we've reconnected a few times over the last years, but really recently, Shaylee's daughter Paisley and my daughter Melania are the same grade, and they've recently started going to high school together. They're freshmen. And they started hanging out, and so we got to connect. And so Shaylee and I were at dinner with homecoming night, and the girls were all out, and me and Dominique, Shaylee, all the parents went to Cascones while the kids ate in Cascones in the other room, and Shaylee and I were talking about the podcast. And she started sharing her story with me, and I said, all right, stop. Don't tell me anymore. This is podcast material. And she's like, oh, I don't know, but you guys are in for a treat. Her story is really remarkable, and what really makes the story remarkable is that I know who she is now and who she's always been, this bubbly, bright, full, larger-than-life character that has this deep, dark, past and upbringing, which by all accords, she should be pretty much a deadbeat. And she's not. She's decided to take life by the horns. I think that hopefully you guys are going to get some inspiration out of this. So, Shaylee, let's start out with good, fun stuff first. Tell us who you are, where you're from, where you grew up, where in school, all the good, fun stuff.
I mean, everything is fun stuff, but I grew up in Lee Summit, Missouri, was raised by my mom until 15, went to Lee Summit School District. In high school was the first class of Lee Summit West, go Titans, their first dance team, West Side Girls. Went to UCM, CMSU at the time. Yep. I have the best daughter ever, Paisley, and I'm a single mom, and it's always been the two of us. I am very close with her dad, Chris. He's very involved, very engaged. And that's another topic that's so funny for people is because we co-parent, I would say pretty well considering, right? That's a hard thing to do. And Paisley's like the center of our universe. And I mean, she is the best of both worlds from the two of us. So she's my life right now. I'm in healthcare. I'm a healthcare consultant. Started my own gig a couple years ago, and probably wouldn't have had the balls to do so, excuse my language, if it weren't for my upbringing. Yeah. And so we'll get into that. But I mean,
so I know there was a period of time. So when did you start dance? Did you start dance as a little girl, or was this something you picked up later?
I started dance as a little girl. In fact, I begged Paisley, she's a dancer, I begged her to do soccer and any other activity just because I knew the magnitude of dance. But she's so great. She's way better than I ever was. I danced in high school, I danced in college, I danced NBA, NFL.
What NBA teams did you dance on?
NBA, I was for the San Antonio Spurs. When we were good, really good. And then Chiefs, diehard Chiefs fan. You're a diehard Chiefs fan when you stand on the sideline and don't win more than one game all season. So, tough. So did Chiefs and San Antonio Spurs.
So I just heard the other day, and I don't know if it's just like a thing. Is there I don't want to call it life expectancy. Is there a period that you can be a Chiefs dancer? Like it's like almost like a term. You can only do 4 years and then you're out, or is it just? Is there a spoken rule, or is it kind of an unspoken rule? Like, hey, you're too old, you got to go.
It's
what's the
an
deal?
Unspoken rule, and as long as you can talk the talk, walk the walk, and look good in the uniform, you can do it for years. In fact, girls cheer for 10 years.
Okay.
If I put that uniform on now, it would maybe cover an arm. So I was out right after Paisley. My body was not the same, but some women are able to have kids and look great. That was not me. And in fact, my uniform does not even pull up on my thigh. So I was out right after P. But there's women that can have kids and bounce right back.
Well, hold on now. You got to do an alumni dance. What was it, last year or year before?
And I'm still going to chiropractic. Yeah. Chiropractic work for it because I think I pulled every muscle I didn't even know I had, because I was like, the great thing about that is it was my daughter's first Chiefs game as well. Aww. So it was a full circle moment to take her to her first game. Chris and I did it together. We took Paisley to her first game, and her first game she got to watch me dance back on the field, and that was the first time they had alumni cheerleaders dance on the field. We get to do an alumni game every year, or now every other year, but we don't actually do a performance. And so I was thinking, it's an alumni game. Right. It's going to be an easy dance I can pick up. I do TikToks from time to time when I'm allowed by my daughter. No, the dance was not. Was not. Yeah, it was a full on.
Well, hold on. Dance. You guys had to practice for a month or so.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a deal.
I mean, and once you don't do dance, choreography doesn't just come.
That 5, 6, 7, 8 wasn't as fast.
I'm like, what's 5, 6? I don't even know I don't know my knees from my elbows right now. So, but it was really special. Paisley wore my old warm up Chiefs cheerleader jacket, and I mean, it was better than I could imagine. I even messed up, and I was like, look, that happens.
Yeah.
If you mess up on stage, you have to bounce back. You have to be resilient. You have to learn from it and shake it off, because you can't let it ruin the rest of your performance. You can't let it ruin other dances. Kind of our motto for life.
Life, right? Yeah. Who I was just talking to somebody today about how, I think that if we can start teaching our kids to look deeper into the things that they're doing. I used practice, for example. Why do you go to practice every day? Well, it's to get better. No. You go to practice every day to teach you discipline, because that's life. You got to get up. You got to go to work every day. You got to do things you don't want to do every day for the rest of your life, unfortunately. Right?
And that's why I'm a big advocate. I don't care what activity you're involved in, but you have to be involved in something, whether it be band, soccer, football, dance, volleyball. Do I think Paisley's going to be a famous dancer? If she wants to be. Did I think I was going to be? No, but it's all the skills it teaches you to be a strong leader in life. Yeah. Discipline, resiliency, be a team player. Take critiques you don't agree with, but have to be respectful on and learn from.
And dance can be rough.
Dance in any activity, but dance especially, and I'm probably biased because I did play soccer. I had my stint at soccer, so let's let the audience know I was kind of good at soccer. But dance, especially in today's world, is a different level. But I say that because I'm biased to dance. I think every activity, there's no just rec leagues. It's
everything's competitive anymore. Yeah. So, Paisley, I know, is ultra exposed to some high level dance because she's on the ever so famous Liberty Sapphires.
Yes.
Which tell us a little bit about that. I probably should have Maggie on here at some point. That'd be a story.
Yeah. No, seriously.
They
are a very prestigious dance team, and in fact, like I moved for her to go to this school, and Chris is in the school zone, so she was able to audition. If she wasn't, I would have even moved again to make her in that school district, which sounds crazy for high school, but again, these girls.
But this is a national level.
They are national championships. I think 15-time or something crazy national championships, and Paisley does. She does competitive dance outside of school, but this high school dance team has pushed her and excelled her at a different level. And I if you're always one of the best in the room, you're not in the right room, right? Mm-hmm. And so she's had some struggles, right? With these girls are amazing, and so is everyone she dances with, but it is a different level of discipline, right? Yeah. And you get called out if you can't do something, and that's hard for some parents. I'm not a believer in everyone gets a trophy. You only can improve if you are getting critiqued, or if you're, in the room and maybe not the best in that room. You want to excel to your peers. And Sapphires has really pushed her this year, and she's a freshman, and it's hard to make as a freshman. So we were so proud and cried, and every day I pick her up. I don't say a word because I just want to know, I can feel the vibe. Was it good or bad? And I'm not saying a word until I can feel that vibe, and then we'll talk. But I let her get in the car and kind of dictate how that combo is going to go.
Well, that's teenage girls anyway, and then
she's for sale most days. Love her to death, and I am joking when I say that, kind of. But if anyone wants a kid for a day,
we're good today.
That's not actually a joke. I probably shouldn't joke. We should probably cut that out.
Nope, it's it. Okay, so. Let's that's great. Yeah, she's a doll. She's such a sweet girl. And,
to you.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, that's the way they're supposed to be. Here, listen, we know as parents, that's what we want to hear, how they are outside the home, because we know they're complete shitheads inside the home. That's their job to push us. So that's God's way of continuing to forge our patience, is by giving us kids, right? Just when you think you got it figured out. So, all right. So back up now. Growing up in Lee Summit. So did you go all the way through grade school and everything in Lee Summit?
I did. I went to Prairie View for elementary school.
Yep.
In fact, I still see my elementary school counselor today, Mr. Crabtree.
I love that.
I still call him when I need something. He's still my go-to. He still comes over for 4th of July with his wife. He was my elementary counselor that I still have maintained a relationship with today.
So let's talk about that then. Mm-hmm. How did that relationship start?
My mom, at the time, so I was in elementary school, had contacted him because my dad had never been in my life. And at that time, 6th grade, that was, noticeable that my grandpa and grandma were always in my life, but my father wasn't. And so she had contacted Mr. Crabtree to help me work through that, which is funny because I ended up...
So was your dad ever in your life?
Yes and no. He was never a stable part of my life. He had an addiction with alcohol, and reality just wasn't there. So when I say yes and no, I would see him maybe once or twice a year. But no, I never had a consistent schedule to see him. I never stayed at his house. He was not involved. He never came to activities. In fact, sometimes when, I joke about pee being difficult sometimes, the apple doesn't fall far. And so when my mom and I would fight, I'd be like, I'm calling dad, I'm going over to dad's. And then I would sit on the steps and he just wouldn't show up. So I say yes, I saw him maybe once or twice a year, but no, he was not a father. He was a figure in my life that I felt, even as a kid, guilty if I didn't see. Even though I didn't want to be around him, I felt like an obligation because you don't want to hurt your parents' feelings.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so you're working through that piece. Then did obviously, since you guys are still friends today, your counselor, there was obviously a bond, and he helped you through that time. What did that look like as a counseling a adolescent, and that wouldn't even be, it'd be an adolescent,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So sixth grade, sixth grade, because in Lee Summit, the school district goes till sixth grade. In Liberty, I think it's sixth grade is now junior high. But what's interesting is my mom called him for me, which I think, is the God, the universe, connecting us, because I was going to need him, not for my dad, but ended up I needed to see him for my mom. And right at the time I had started going, leave class to go talk to him, is my mom was losing our home due to addiction. And I was old enough where I knew what was going on was not okay, but still young enough to not really understand like the magnitude.
I have sixth grade, you said?
Fifth, sixth grade. Yeah. In fact, I've always been close with my grandparents. So I would stay with my grandparents every Wednesday. They lived at Lake Winnebago and Lee Summit. And so when we were losing our house, I just was like, okay, my mom.
Grandparents are your mom's parents.
Yes.
Okay.
My grandparents are my mom's parents.
Any relationship with your other grandparents?
No, they're passed away. They passed away when I was really little.
Okay.
So I know their name, like Grandma Lucy and Grandpa Walsh, but I didn't know them.
So you took your dad's name. So Walsh is your biological father's name.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep. So I'm half Italian, half Irish, for the record. So I have this
No
Spitfire
wonder.
of both.
Now it makes sense.
Now everything makes sense.
sense.
I know. As soon as I say that, everyone's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
But I started to see Mr. Crabtree for my dad, and it ends up like my mom's losing our house in the process, which I didn't realize.
What was mom's addiction?
Alcohol and gambling was her addiction.
Okay.
And also just a sense of entitlement, I'm going to say. She, always
narcissism?
No, she always had things handed to her. She never had a job she had to go get herself. She worked for my grandpa. He owned a life insurance company, so she never had to really work hard. She could do enough to get by, right? And then I don't know how the addiction started, but she started gambling and ended up losing our home. And she was a single mom as well. And it's, so funny to look back because we were super close until it got really to the point where I was taken away from her, which we'll get to. Again, as a child, no matter what's going on, you're a product of your environment, but you also you're so protective of your parents.
Sure.
And so I was thinking about that on the way here is my mom lost her house. And so when she lost her house, we moved in with my grandparents.
Did you know at that time why she had lost the house, or did you just financial reasons?
I just knew financial reasons.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. In sixth grade, I knew financial reasons. So actually my mom and I moved into my grandparents' house in Winnebago, which I was like, this is awesome.
Better, yeah.
Oh, I'm living on a lake. There was no South Shore. Yeah. There's a hot tub. There's a pool. There's a boat. I'm like living my best life, thinking this is great. But then I was like, my mom has a bed in my grandpa's office. That's weird, right? And that's when things started really spiraling. And I was getting older, in addition. And so I really stuck. Dance was my outlet. Aside from Mr. Crabtree, dance is like kind of what I would say saved me. And having an outlet, I wasn't good about voicing how I was feeling. And in fact, like my way of expressing myself is not when I'm mad, not when I'm angry, or it's when I'm sad. I shut down and I want someone to feel how I'm feeling. And so I try to hurt them like they hurt me, which I've spent millions of dollars on counseling to correct that behavior.
Hurting people hurt people.
Yeah, hurt people for sure. So we lost the house. We moved in with my grandparents. Again, I'm thinking this is awesome. But at that point, my mom started stealing from my grandma and grandpa to pay for her gambling addictions, which I was not aware of. And so my grandparents obviously were missing diamonds and missing, material things. And so they said, to my mom, her name's Christine, you need to go get help and Shay can stay with us. And she had never gone to rehab. And
what was your mom's last name?
Walsh.
Oh,
But her maiden name's Phillips.
So they were married at one point.
They were married.
Got it.
Separate. I don't remember them being married. They separated. In fact, my dad was abusive to my mom. From what I hear.
But she kept the Walsh. Is she still Walsh?
I'm not sure. Honestly, today I wouldn't be able to say because I cut her out, but she was Chris Walsh forever when I lived with her. So, so my grandparents told her she needed to go to rehab and then, not for drinking, but also for gambling.
Right.
That's probably why if I even lose $5, I lose my mind, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not, and I don't believe addiction passes down, but I'm very aware. And so she went to rehab. And what's fascinating is that's when she got hooked on worse things than gambling and alcohol. In rehab, she met a gentleman there that was there for hard drugs. She had never done a drug in her life.
Oh, wow.
And tried it once and got hooked. And then from there, completely spiraled. She left rehab. She was in and out of not just rehab, but like crazy scenarios. I remember one time she borrowed my grandpa's van, and then it was in a robbery.
Oh, my gosh.
And so it was like she was there for gambling and alcohol, but she tried drugs in rehab, got addicted, and from there has been addicted since. And this was 7th grade for me, 6th, 7th grade. And what's crazy is it's because she had no, I don't want to say self-respect, but she had no self-confidence. And so she was easily persuaded. And you can, looking back, she could blame my dad used to, beat her, or she had a horrible relationship with my dad. But if everyone used their background as an excuse,
that's why I said
you know what I mean?
You'd be a deadbeat. Yeah. If that were the case.
Yeah, but also it's like I was a little bit older, right? So 5th, 6th grade, I was old enough to know right from wrong. What I really feel horrible about is these kids that are so young when this starts, they don't know any different. And you are a product of your environment. But if everyone in your environment is acting with that behavior, it's really hard. And you don't know the difference. You don't know right from wrong. If anything, I was lucky that I was 5th or 6th grade, and I had a really great support system around me, the dance families, school families. So I was able to kind of understand right from wrong, even though I was so protective of my mom.
Man, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. I would watch the news to see if she was dead or alive, because at that time they would like read off, bodies. And so before my ride from school would come pick me up, I'd have the news on every morning to see like, where is my mom? What's going on? Because it was so fast. She went to rehab, she left, and then was kind of in and out. There's this phase when you start spiraling where you still need your family for some support or some money or some excuse, right? Like a car. She needed my grandpa's car. But then it got to a point like we wouldn't hear from her for weeks, and then she'd be in the hospital because her pimp beat her to death. And so she turned to prostitution. I should probably take a step back. Yeah. Hold on, I'm stepping.
No, you got the overarching story. Let's dive back into the details a little bit.
Yeah. So she left rehab, was in and out. The robbery with the van sticks to me. And then at that time, my grandparents.
So where was she staying then? Did she find herself like gravitating toward the Lee Summit area still just because it was familiar?
No, downtown.
In the city, yeah, okay.
And I find that just from speaking to other addicts, they don't go home. They stay in the environment of which they started this new trend. And it's usually what I've found is they're too embarrassed to face the old life they lived. Yeah. And when they can do it for a certain extent until people start noticing. And then when they start questioning the new behavior, then they run because they don't want to face it. And so they go back to their environment in which this all started because it's comfort for them.
Yeah, right.
So she was downtown, and again, I couldn't even drive yet. And so, I remember she promised me like a red Celica for my 16th birthday. And we went to go look at one at this used car dealership, and she right before my 16th birthday, she was MIA. And so I knew I wasn't getting a red Celica, but it's like, why'd you take me to go look at this car 500 times? And then my birthday comes, and I wasn't expecting a car, but I wasn't expecting to share my grandpa's minivan driving to school. So that was very humbling. And so,
but you did. You drove the minivan to school.
Yeah. That in my grandma's car. I think it was like a Corsica or something. So I was not rolling up in a red Celica by any means. And that was okay. It was more like, where's my mom? Right? Like it was hard to. At this point, I'm in high school. I was a sophomore in high school when it got to the point she was MIA. And so my grandparents fully got custody of me. And, my grandparents, they're grandparents. They've raised their kids. Even though I was super close with them, they're probably like, even, we want to do our thing. And my grandma had rheumatoid arthritis, which is the autoimmune disease. And so the cold weather was really hard for her. So their plan was to go to Florida.
Yeah.
And, I found a letter recently that my grandma had wrote to my mom, which was the first time I felt heard and stuck up for was my grandma. And I never knew this was happening until my adult years, like this past year. And she had wrote a letter to my mom, and my mom was in and out of prison at this time. She left rehab with that guy, all of a sudden, in and out of prison, jail, everything bad you could think of. And so my grandma wrote my mom a letter, and it was returned, which is how I have this letter, because she had already left jail. And it was like, you showed up high to Shaylee's prom pictures. How dare you? And we are taking her to Florida to get away from you and protect her. And I never knew that was actually like one of the driving forces of them moving to Florida until my adult years. And my grandma had passed away by now. And so I just wish I would have known sooner. I know they were trying to protect me, but I stopped reading any letter from my mom a long time ago. So I didn't know that was the reason at the time. Mm-hmm. And so we moved to Florida. And what she was saying in this letter, so sorry, I'm all over the place. When I lived in Winnebago, my first job was the yacht club, the Arrowhill Yacht Club. Mm-hmm. My mom, before she left rehab at this time and was kind of in and out. We worked a lot of weddings at the yacht club. Mm-hmm. And so as a waitress, I would bring her boxes of food to the car. Mm. And we're going to have to edit this because I'm missing a whole step here.
We don't need to edit.
So she left rehab. But before she went to rehab, I told my grandparents, how dare you try to send my mom away from me? Mm. So I'm going with my mom. Mm. So my mom and I lived in her car for weeks. And I worked at the yacht club still. So I would sign over my paychecks to my mom to cash in for her gas and whatever. I would take food from weddings. It wasn't stealing because we got to make to-go boxes. Sure. So and I would take those out to the car. My mom would be parked outside these weddings, and I would give her the food. I was too stubborn to understand or realize what was going on, and I was like to my grandparents, I'm not leaving my mom. So how dare you kick her out? If you kick her out, you're kicking me out. I'll show you. Yeah. I'm this teenage, I know everything, teenager. So I still kept my job. And the funny thing is my mom couldn't keep a job. Yeah. So I was 15 working and she was not, and I was providing for her at 15. And we would stay with one dance family a week. And I was like, why are we moving around so much? Well, come to find out, my mom was stealing from these families where we were staying, and they would always say, we'll keep Shay, but you got to go. And I would get so mad at these families who are my best friends who I've grown up with, because no one ever told me fully what was going on because they wanted to protect me.
Sure, yeah.
And turns out my mom was stealing from them, to gamble. And then, so she would get kicked out. And of course, I'm like, well, if my mom's kicked out, I'm going. So every week we were staying at somewhere different. And then it got to the point where my mom pulled over, like I was showering at the yacht club or before school. We were living in her car. And for me, it was by choice because I could go back to my cushy Winnebago house with my grandparents. Yeah. But again, children are like, I was not leaving my mom. And at this time, my mom could do no wrong. Even though I knew something was not right, I wasn't leaving her. Yeah. And it got to the point she pulled over and said, you can't live this way. You're going to grandma and grandpa's, and then I need to go to rehab. So then she went to rehab. So I missed that whole step. Okay. Then she went to rehab, met a gentleman there. That's when she tried drugs for the first time, got hooked, and then just completely spiraled. When she spiraled is when my grandparents said, we're moving to Florida. They told her, how dare you show up to Shaylee's pictures? Hi. And in fact, that prom, I remember vividly. I worked my ass off to make enough money to get my hair done at now Coco's in downtown Lee Summit, Nicole, and she's done my hair since 8th grade. She doesn't any longer just because of the distance, but she was doing my hair, and I went to go pay for my prom hair that I had saved up for. And I go to the register, and there was like $150 balance in addition to my hair. And I'm thinking, From what? My mom was still going and getting her hair done and then bailing before she had to pay. So then I would be the one that would have to pay. And I'm in high school. I could barely pay for myself. And that particular prom my grandma referenced, I didn't have money for my prom dinner that night because I paid for my mom's hair, you know? And I, as a mother today, can't imagine doing that to Paisley. And so it was really seeing my grandma's letter, really like, again, I never felt like anyone like advocated or stood up for me. I know today now they did, and they didn't tell me everything going on because they were trying to protect me. And you know, that is trauma at its finest, what my mom was doing. And so they were trying to protect me from it. But at the time, I just felt like, why is no one telling me, like, what is going on?
Yeah, you're in the twilight zone.
Yeah. So we, you know, my mom, she went to rehab, met this guy there, spiraled. We ended up moving to Florida.
What part?
Cape Coral, Florida.
Okay. Again, life's getting good.
33991. And I was like, yeah, great. I'll move to Florida. I was super sad to leave dance, and I'm super close with everyone I grew up with.
So was this right after high school?
Year.
Oh,
sophomore year of high school.
Oh.
Yeah. So I went to Mariner High School in Cape Coral, and I loved where I lived. We were on a canal. Water's our family's element. But, you know, it was kind of a retired community part of Florida. And so I was like the youngest. Now, if I wanted to drive 30 minutes, you know, my high school was even like a 20-minute drive because Pine Island is actually like the bridge. We lived right there. So it was a very retired community, and that's great for my grandparents. That's what they dreamed of. But me in high school, ready to like, you know.
It's you and then all the 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds,
So, you know, but I lived there for a year, and I was like, I got to get back. I miss dance. I did dance at a studio called Robin Dawn's there. They're amazing. But it was like a 45-minute drive every night after school. And I started like getting homesick. And so a teacher from my old high school, so I was still a sophomore, said, come back, because I was friends with her son. Come back, live with us. And I'm thinking like, whoa, okay. And so my grandparents like, who is this? What's going on? And honestly, I don't think I'd be here telling my story if it wasn't for this family that took me in, which is the Hertzogs. We lived in Greenwood, Missouri. I got to go back to my old high school. But they had 4 kids of their own and still took me in, didn't ask for a dime. And she was a teacher at the high school and heard what was going on and still said, took me in, gave me a room. I could argue that I had abuse in every direction because here I am as a single, a only child my whole life. And I'm thrown in with these crazy.
What the whole
guys?
The
Hertzog clan is wild.
Hold on, the Hertzog clan isn't what wrestler? Wasn't one of them a wrestler?
Yes, I think John, which was a cousin, was a wrestler. Who I lived with was Brian, Todd, Becca, and Christy. Todd and Brian, football players. Brian who was my friend, and his mom Kathy is who said, "Come live with us." Little did I know I'd be getting shot at with BB guns through the door. Again, I'm used to being an only child, and I'm like, I'll go back to living in my car. Like, what is happening? And you know what? Like, I would not change that for the world because I loved having that dynamic with siblings. I always wished I weren't only child.
Yeah.
And so, like, again, I would not be here on this couch when you say, like, you are a product of your environment. I was old enough to leave my mom's situation, and I had this great family that took me in and treated me as theirs. I was a sophomore in high school, so I was still processing everything with my mom. And again, I was going from cars to someone's house to my grandparents to someone's house. Like, I was not in a stable environment for 3 years, for longer than a month or so. And so, you know, I took my backpack and my clothes, and I was good. And they're like, "Where's your stuff?" And I'm like, "This is all I'm used to." You know.
Yeah.
And throughout high school, I still kept the job at the yacht club. And you know, I always say if I win the lottery, I would go buy my old house back, 426 Winnebago Drive. But they took me in, and that's kind of like where we get into part 2.
Okay, you're back.
Okay.
Right. So Part 2.
Part 2.
So wait, let's back up for a second. So mom went to rehab, got hooked up with the dude, started doing hard drugs, and then when did you find out about prostitution? When did that come about?
Okay, so part 2. I had moved back from Florida, moved in with the Hertzogs. I was a sophomore in high school, and that summer I was at work. I was actually at a family friend, Sandy Brizette's house, and I pull into the driveway of the Hertzogs the next morning. And actually, Angel's really good friends with the Brizettes, Richards. But I pulled into the driveway. My aunt's car was there, and I was close with my aunt. She's my mom's sister.
Okay, yeah.
So my mom has a brother and a sister, both super successful, which is crazy because like super mega successful, and then something was off there. But so I pull in the driveway. My aunt's there. She comes running out. I'm like, something's not okay. My grandma had passed away. And so we flew to Florida. And no one had heard where my mom was or spoken to my mom in months. And I think 6 months, maybe even a year. And I said, she's going to be at grandma's funeral. Mark my words. I have this sixth sense. I can't explain. She'll be there. No one knows where she is. And in fact, I said, she's prostituting. And right before my grandma passed, I had brought that up.
Did you know that? Or
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I just, I am
intuition.
Everyone will tell me like I'm raw. I almost try to see the worst, not because I'm negative, but as a
preparation.
Well, yeah, I want to prep myself for worst case scenario because I kept getting the worst case scenario. And so I wanted to be prepared. And so I'm not doing that to be negative. I'm trying to protect myself without realizing it. And so right before my grandma had passed, I remember saying, she's prostituting. My mom is prostituting. How do you think she's paying for all this expensive drugs? She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a car. Where is she living? Not at the halfway house you guys just paid for. She's not at rehab. What do you think is happening? And my grandma actually grounded me for saying that about my mom. And come to find out, my grandma passed. We're in Florida. We're going through her belongings. And my grandma and I are super close. Super, super, super close. And I said, my mom will be at the funeral. No one had heard from her. In fact, my grandma's sister, my Aunt Pat, said, how dare you? Like, or not how dare you. She's like,
what do you think?
Not how dare you. Just more like didn't know how to break it. Like, your mom's not going to be there. Sorry. And I was like, I don't want her there. Believe me, but she'll be there. We come back to Kansas City because, again, they're in Florida. We have our funeral here. The Winnebago community was, my grandma started the gardening club, started all these, little groups they have today even. And so we had her funeral, and the celebration of life was at the yacht club. But we get in the funeral, sure shit, my mom comes walking in with the ankle bracelet on.
Oh my gosh.
And we're sitting in the front row of my grandma's funeral. Angel, in fact, was there. And my friends all were very close with my grandma and my grandpa because they raised me.
Yeah.
And so my support system are sitting behind me, and they were like, in a nice way, we don't know what was happening in the funeral because we kept looking between you and your mom. And you would look down the aisle and then do this, and then she would look down the aisle and do this because I wouldn't sit by her. I had to have space. Mm-hmm. And in fact, she tried to come talk to me after the funeral, and I at that point was done and wanted nothing to do with her. And in high school,
how old were you? So this would have been like junior year, right?
This was my junior year. Yeah. And I wanted nothing to do with her, but also in high school, it's embarrassing. Yeah. My mom's at this funeral with the ankle bracelet on.
Yeah, right.
And that it was always embarrassing. She would always show up towards the end to events such as prom pictures. She was high, which I didn't even know she was on drugs then, right? But my grandma picked up on it. She's at this funeral with an ankle bracelet, and she would try to, communicate with me and talk to me, but I needed her to not be there. I couldn't even process my grandma passing because I was more concerned with my mom. Mm-hmm. And addicts just don't understand because it's all about them.
Right.
So she was at the funeral. Then we went to the yacht club, had this celebration of life. And then, went right back to jail after. And it was a talk for a while. And at this point, it started hitting me what the magnitude of what was going on is. And I started becoming the realist for my family, like my grandpa, my aunt, my uncle. And it was weird because they were the ones that forced her to rehab. Mm-hmm. But then once, I said she's prostituting, and they're like, don't say that about your mom, or, they were still very protective of her.
Sure.
And so.
Denial.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just hope. There came to a point, so I think my senior year, I was done. I needed her out of my life. I didn't want to watch the news to see what was going on with her. I read this book called A Million Little Pieces. And in fact, I don't want to say nervous breakdown because I was never diagnosed or anything, but I don't think I've cried so hard in my life because I was like, this is exactly my life, to a T. And that's when it hit me, what I went through is not normal.
Not okay.
Not normal. And I really leaned on my teachers at school, which is crazy. I'm not I have to really try to get good grades. I'm not book smart, but I loved, I took a lot of college courses and writing and all of that. And that was my outlet aside from dance. Because I had to pay for dance. Yeah. I had to pay for dance, and that's not cheap. And, but the Hertzogs, again, I was living with them. So I finished out high school living with them. And I don't know what I would have done without them. I would be in Florida, kind of skating through. But if it wasn't for, again, the Hertzogs that took me in, didn't ask for a penny ever, I wouldn't be here to tell this story. I would be doing the same behavior I was taught. Right. So finished out, then went to UCM, danced as a mule kicker.
Did you get a scholarship?
Yeah, but any college dance scholarship is never full.
Not what you need.
I'm still paying my student loans, actually. We'll start a GoFundMe for that. No, I'm kidding.
What did you go to college for? What degree did you end up
Just
getting?
Communication, something basic, which is nothing with what I do in today's life, but I just needed to get something. In fact,
again, goes back to what we talked about earlier, discipline. You showed up every day, you went, you completed, you finished the task. That's a well, okay, all right. Yeah.
I attempted.
You finished, right? Did you finish? You got a degree.
Online.
Whatever,
and so,
you got it
done. What happened was,
what had happened was
my grades were not the best, and there was classes I was like, oh gosh. I think, it hit me that what was going on, and so I wanted to go back to the Hertzogs. In fact, I auditioned for Chiefs my sophomore year of college and finished college online.
Got it.
And went back to live with the Hertzogs for a little while. Mm-hmm. And then I bought my own apartment in Longview while I was dancing with the Chiefs and had a roommate. But I...
Did you roommate with another Chiefs cheerleader?
No. In fact, Tara Rand, she's in my health tech these days. But at the time, we just grew up together through the dance world. Which is really funny because I had moved around my whole life. With my mom and never being in a stable environment. And I got to college and you would think that I'm used to that, right? Mm-hmm. But I got to college and I was like, I need comfort right
Stability,
now.
Yeah.
So I went back to the Hertzogs, which is very fascinating because it's that's when it hit me. And there's still pieces today I sit and think about, and people will come up to me and be like, we took you prom dress shopping. I'll be like, what? I don't remember that. I blacked things out. So fast forward, and I think it's important to discuss because lately, my grandpa who raised me passed away, I think 2 years ago.
So now both your grandparents.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when he passed is when I found the letter from my grandma that kind of reassured everything I was feeling like, how dare you, we're taking Shaylee to protect her. Mm-hmm. Because I think the rest of my family forgot that. And when my grandpa passed, is when we started telling these stories. There's things I don't remember that freak me out. Brett Holleran, Brett Jansen now, we grew up together dancing. We're in both health tech today, and I go to her for advice. She owns a couple companies, and she brought up something a couple summers ago that really freaked me out because I had zero recollection, and she said, everyone from high school was fighting to take you in. And she named off people I knew that I never knew they were trying to take me in. And she said, you don't remember my mom took you prom dress shopping and we bought your prom dress?
Oh, wow.
And I said, I don't remember any of that. And it was really scary for me. And it kind of made me think wow, I know what I went through was intense, but the fact that I blacked out memories and still today don't remember them really freaks me out. In fact, like your family played a big part too. And when I was living with their Hertzogs, I was with Joe and Lori multiple days a week. I'm sure they're like, God, we have Angel and Shaylee now. They're two of them. The world can't handle two of us. And we were the same scale of like little terrorists.
Full of life.
That's what we'll say. Yeah. That's what we'll say. But even like Joe and Lori, just feeding me dinners and stuff. Like the Hertzogs, I had the Hertzogs, but I was paying for my phone bill. I was paying for dance. I was paying for gas. I was not paying for car insurance, but just things like Paisley doesn't pay for today. And there's a fine line between responsibility, but then also I was taught fight or flight very early on. And there's some bonuses and there's a lot of negativity that comes along with that mindset. I'll say I am where I am in my career today, which is very successful because of that mentality I was taught. Mm-hmm. But also there's this very small window where fight or flight is like, it becomes exhausting. Sure. And you either want to like cave and just accept what you think is meant to be, or that there's always a way if you fight through it. And I had chose the path early on as a kid. Again, I was old enough to know right from wrong. A lot of kids aren't. So I early on knew right from wrong. And then Paisley honestly saved me because all of a sudden it wasn't just me anymore. And I had to get my shit together because I had someone else I was responsible for. If it weren't for P, I'd be traveling the world in a bus, like taking odd jobs on and just enough to pay for my gas and experiencing the world, right? Yeah. I was a free spirit. Once I had Paisley.
She grounded you.
She grounded me. Time, yeah. Also cut my mom out of my life completely. The day my daughter was born, I held on to hope for a while, right? She would come and go. How
old were you when you had Paisley?
23.
Okay.
Turning 24. So I was a little baby myself. Yeah. But once I had another life in my hands, I had made the decision that she was completely cut out. And at this point, she had been an addict for 20-something years. Mm-hmm. There's a fine line of holding on to hope and accepting reality, and that's hard for people.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe she'll change her life around, and great. Even if she does, I'm done. Like, there comes a point where I was not going to let anything happen to my child that happened to me. Mm-hmm. Another story, I talk about forgetting things. My very best friend, Amanda Sunderland, and I went to high school together. She is part of Aloe actually today, super successful. I look up to her. She told a story a couple months ago, and I was like, what the heck? I don't remember this. And it's freaky. My mom, I was in high school driving my Grand Am at that time, had lured us downtown. Mind you, we are 15, 16, well, I guess 16 if I'm driving, 16-year-olds going downtown to prospect to these horrible environments because my mom said she had a puppy for me, luring me in with a puppy. We get to where she was staying. Mind you, people are doing needles in their arm in front of us. We see this at 16. It was normal for me to see. Mm-hmm. That's what's crazy. And Amanda, my best friend, still haunts her today that she witnessed that. And again, I didn't remember even that situation until she brought it up to me. Mm-hmm. And it was just another scenario of, oh my gosh, I don't remember this because
that was just Tuesday night for you.
Yeah. And I was thinking like, why am I driving? Like I knew right from wrong, but it was still because it was my mom.
Yeah.
I would go. And again, I'm like, my mom wouldn't put me in scenarios to hurt me. Mm-hmm. And it's not she was doing it on purpose. Yeah, she wouldn't. She was just not all there and still isn't there. And in fact, there's another situation as an adult. I have Paisley. I started dating a police officer. And once I found out he was a police officer, I'm like, hey, my mom, you probably hear if you're in narcotics, whatever, you need to know this. I have no relationship with her. First date, I just word vomit because, again, this is a small world. Kansas City's
Chick
small.
With red flags.
Yeah. And he didn't run.
Yeah.
But come to find out, 2 weeks later, we're at the gym in Lee Summit together. He gets a call from a friend in narcotics.
Oh, my gosh.
He leaves the changing room as we're leaving the gym, and his face is pale. And I'm like, what's going on? One of his friends, he was a detective, my boyfriend was, this guy who was a friend was in narcotics and said, hey, we just did a drug bust and your girlfriend's picture's all over the wall.
Oh, boy. Oh, my gosh.
And not only was my picture all over the wall, my daughter's picture was all over the wall.
Ugh.
So what was happening was my aunt, who sees the best in everyone, she said TED Talk. She's a woman advocate leader. Like, that's what she does for a living. I think it's really hard for her to accept reality and not just hold on to hope. So she was sending my mom letters of encouragement, thinking seeing pictures of me and P would help turn her around and want her to, get her clean. Mm-hmm. But the reality was my mom was so blacked out, didn't know right from wrong, was hanging my pictures up and Paisley's pictures up, maybe in her head for hope.
Yeah, right.
Not understanding she's in a crack house with drug addicts and very scary pimps, everyone. Like, what you see on the movies is real. And so they do this drug bust, and my chief cheerleader picture's on the wall, my daughter's picture's on the wall, and it's like, there's not that many Shayleys. And at that point, I had to have like a heart-to-heart with my family and say, like, your relationship with my mom is fine. Do not include me. Do not send pictures. Do not send pictures of my daughter. Do not bring my name up. Don't bring my phone number up. Don't bring my address up. If you do, you are out of my life.
Yeah. Wow.
Because again, they didn't understand they were putting me in danger by doing that. They were trying to be helpful, but the magnitude of the situation, I still don't think sticks to them.
Right. Still to this day?
Still to this day.
Yeah, wow.
In fact, I'll tell another situation. I was at CMSU. I had a car. My license plate was Shaylee.
Of course.
Of course. And so I was driving back and forth from school. My car wasn't reliable. My uncle and aunt were going to trade cars because they had an extra on. My mom had been driving their car. And when I went to get in it, it smelled like smoke, which was a big trigger for me because she had smoked in the car growing up and I just couldn't.
Yeah, right.
And then I was thinking like spiral, right? How dare you smoke in someone's car? That's not yours. Rude. So I was like, I'm taking my car. You can keep this. Mm-hmm. The next day, my aunt and uncle get a knock on their door. They live in, very prestige neighborhood. They get a knock on their door from a detective. Their car was found at a gas station that night with someone shot in the head.
Oh my gosh.
And I think about the fact that it was on the news. You could see the car. Can you imagine if I would have traded cars?
Yeah.
You know what car would have been on the news?
They would have thought
Shaylee.
Oh my gosh.
Shaylee would have been on the news. My license plate was someone shot dead.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine?
Gosh.
And I think about moments like that, like there is a higher power that stopped me from taking that car that day. And it was because I was so stubborn and mad at my mom, but something bigger said, do not take this car, even though it's way nicer, way newer, way everything, especially as a teenager. I was like so mad that it smelled like smoke. I will take my car and take the chance of breaking it. And there was a higher power. There. Yeah. Because Shaylee license
Show
plate.
Everybody what I just gave you. That's a little baby Jesus, just so you know. We're going to work on that chapter at some point.
No, I'm all about it. I am all about it. And I definitely there's moments like that. Yeah. There was a higher power protecting me, and not just protecting me from harm, because obviously Shaylee, someone shot in the head. It's just even as a high schooler, I already went through enough embarrassment about the situation that I couldn't have handled one more kid my age asking about my parents, what's going on. Yeah. It's really tough because I try to teach Paisley, not all kids are their parents, but I'm also like, oh, I want to meet their parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are a product of your environment, but there are times where kids you can't judge children based off their parents at the same time, which is it's a contradictory thing to say.
No, you can't. But there's, if you're just like the casinos, they tell dealers when to hit, when to not. It's statistical odds, right? The statistical odds say that if you have two parents or one parent, what the scenarios are, then yeah. So I think that you're more than founded by wanting to see who's the parents of the girls that your daughter's hanging out. We do.
Well, no, and again, I'm like I'm the weirdo that she can't go anywhere without me meeting the parents. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, Paisley sometimes still gets judged because of my parents I have no control over. And in fact, I just turned 38 last week, and this year there was a situation where her parents are drug addicts and da 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 da. I am 38. You can judge me now and judge the fact that I kicked those toxic people out of my life. Don't judge when I was too young to have a voice or know any better.
Yeah, 100%.
Once I became 18, guess what? They were gone. So judge me on that. Don't judge me of a product of my environment I had zero control over. And at 38, that still comes up today.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's from people that don't know me, because if they knew me, they would not talk about that. But if that's what you're still bringing up today, yeah, go look my mom up on CaseNet. You'll need,
haters.
Yeah.
Haters gonna hate. They're jealous.
You'll need like a bigger,
big computer screen.
bandwidth to download all of her history. But it's like crazy that that's still a topic of conversation that follows me today at 38. When I have not spoken to this woman in years. I don't even call her mom. Paisley doesn't know her. She couldn't pick her out in a crowd.
Good. Good.
But also, the silver lining in all this is because of the situation and how I was brought up in the fight or flight mentality, which is still a lot. If it weren't for counseling, I wouldn't be where I'm in my career. But I am very proud of where I'm at in my career and what I've taught Paisley. Right. Yeah. I'm a single mom. I've never been married. If I can't pay a bill, I don't have parents to go to for help. I am,
right.
I'm going to start selling feet pictures. That's a joke. I'm kidding. But that's, it's funny because I've been able to teach P that you don't need anybody else, but I also don't want her to not trust anybody, right, at the same time. But
yeah, you don't want to overly harden her.
So it's like this balancing act of trying to teach her, hard work, and you can accomplish anything. And then half the time I'm feel like the worst mom because I'm yelling at her because I'm trying to take her to practice, work in between. I just bought us a new home, and trying to balance it all as one person is difficult. But again, if it wasn't for how I was brought up, I wouldn't be where I was at in my career today.
No question. She's going to appreciate it. She probably already does. They're just teenagers. I know because I see the birthday cards that I saw what she put the other day for your birthday.
I know. No, she's a great kid.
Yeah,
she's amazing. And I get emails from her teacher all the time, telling me how I've done a great job with her, which that matters more to me than a grade card.
100%.
More than anything. She's a really, really great kid.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's always been the two of us. So I'm I'm not your sister. You got to remember, I am your mom sometimes. You still have to, we're too close sometimes.
Don't bruh me. Bruh.
Bruh, 6'7", all the things.
Okay, so, wow, Shay, it's a lot. You've been through a lot, and I'm knowing just the surface of it when you had first started, and then going into all that, I'm just sitting here in this awe of you as a person who you are today. You're such a good girl. You're so sweet, and you're just full of life, and you've got this zeal for life that people that went through where you went through don't get to experience life through the lenses that you are, and you're making that choice. It's amazing. It really is amazing. There's gonna be some. I get emotional about this stuff. Yeah. There's going to be some little girl that's going through this, that's your age, 13 years old, 14 years old, because this stuff's going to be all over the web, you know what I mean? And they're going to experience this. And the thing about this, what I really wanted to do this podcast for, not just with you, but just in general, is because my doctor that I see, he was telling me that these videos perpetuate for years and years and years to come. And there's a video of a rapper, Lecrae, he's a Christian rapper, that I watched when I first got sober, and it's been almost 10 years, and I still send that video to hundreds and hundreds of people, men that are struggling, that are trying to become good men. And I'm like, here, you got to watch this video. This is the first video I watched as soon as I got sober. And I've sent this thing to no less than a couple hundred people over the last 10 years. And now the video is 11 years old, and I'm still sending it as fresh material. So my point is, there's going to be little girls, there's going to be 13-year-old girls for the next 30 years that are going to get to see this, and you're going to give them hope and make them understand that they can do it, and they will do it, and there is a possibility, and they don't need parents. And the fact of the matter is, dive into the faith a little bit, we're sinners and we are born of sin and we are undeserving of anything. We are saved by grace, and therefore everything we get is a blessing that we don't deserve. We just have to receive it, And so we not always are we owed parents. We haven't done anything in this life to be owed good parents, to be owed this and owed that. And like you said earlier, that sense of entitlement. We're not owed that. If we happen to have good parents, then we're blessed. We're more blessed than the next. But there's so many blessings in life, like what you said. The blessing that you have in what you've been through is that you've learned resilience and you've learned strength and you've learned. And had your mom been just a little better and in your life a little bit more, then you wouldn't have turned out like this. You probably would have turned out more like her. But the fact that she, so it's almost your blessing was that God allowed so much devastation to get you strong. It's a tough lens to look through, but you can choose to either look through it that way or look through it the other way, and it's up to you, right? Yeah. There's a saying, and I can't remember who said it, but if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly. And now I have, guess what? 2 extra spare rooms. So anybody that needs a place, we have them. In fact, I took in one of Paisley's friends last year that kind of had the same upbringing, and she came and lived with us for a little while her parents went to rehab. And it was a full circle moment that I got to do that, and I didn't think twice, right? As soon as I knew what was going on, I went and picked her up. She lived with us for, 6-7 months.
6, 7, 8.
It was really great. Like, I kicked Paisley out of her room, made her a room, moved Paisley to the basement, and it was really like a full circle moment that I got to do that because the family did that for me. Yeah. And so now I have 2 extra spare rooms. So if anybody does need a place to stay, like, you're not a product of your environment at all, and you don't have to be.
Yeah, that's great. So, question, I want to go back. There's a couple things that so you've been through a lot of therapy, and you probably have processed this on your own and probably read books, and you've probably self-educated just as much on this as anything else, right? And so going back to, I was just curious how you felt, because I couldn't read you when you were talking about all these people were trying to protect you and keeping you. Do you think that as an adult now looking back, do you think it would have been better had you been told more truth earlier on? Do you think you could have maybe processed it, or do you think that it was good that it was kept from you? And the reason I'm asking is because there's going to be some people watching this that are the parents or the people protecting a child that are trying to, and I don't know. I feel like in between there, like I'm always a big truth kind of person. Truth's only meant to be the truth. It's not meant to hurt. And I think more truth you can feed people, the better they are, I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. Especially at 15, 16, maybe younger, they wouldn't be able to process.
Sure.
But for me, I knew something was wrong, and it was almost more frustrating that if I would have just been told the truth, I wouldn't go down all these rabbit holes. I wouldn't be watching the news. I was researching. I was unstoppable trying to figure out what was going on. So I do wish I would have been told the truth. And that's hard to say because I do know they were protecting me.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't mean that in bitterness.
But I do think there comes kids pick up on way more than we even know. I used to listen to phone calls. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Kids are resilient. So like I have a lot of friends going through divorces, all this. They're scared about the kids. Kids are resilient as long as you are communicative with them along the way. It's when they're left in the dark that they make their own conclusions. They think the worst.
Which let's be real, at that age, they're not fit to make their own conclusions. They haven't had enough world experiences.
So I think as long as they have support, telling the truth's always correct. I know it's really hard to do because there's this fine line of trying to protect someone at the same time. Even as adults, we do that. But the truth always prevails, and I wish I would have known. I probably would have processed a lot sooner. I probably would have digested better. I would be in counseling and I didn't even know what to say because I didn't know what was going on. I just knew something was wrong. I'm living in a car. That's not normal, right? Like, but it took me years to even process that. I was like, holy shit, I was living in a car.
Right.
Now I'm thinking like, would I ever let my daughter do that? No. You know what I mean? So I do think if there's someone going through anything, not just, addiction, the truth for kids is the best route.
Mm-hmm.
They're resilient, and it will, instill skills for them as adults on coping and processing and having to deal and talk about it. That's the thing. If you're going to be transparent, as you should, you have to keep the lines of communication open. Don't just throw this at them and then don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you should sit down and have those uncomfortable conversations. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, right.
How are you feeling? Walk me through it. It's okay. There's not a wrong, right, or indifferent. I just want to know how you are, and let's work through this. And I maybe not have all the answers, but I want you to come to me for everything.
Right.
I had no one to go to talk about it, right? Because the people I was talking to didn't fully know what was going on or didn't want to know. And so, I'm just now in my late 30s being able to process some of this.
Any suicide ideology at all during any of that?
Yeah. Honestly, there were times when the Hertzogs first took me in that I was like, why am I here? In fact, I walked to Lake Winnebago and tried to drown myself in the lake.
Did you really?
I did.
What do you mean
I
you
just
tried?
tried to hold my breath in the shallow end by the bridge. I remember it vividly. And then, so yes, that I even attempted that, but was I going to go through with it? I don't know.
Did
I was just more like, yeah. I told Kathy Hertzog, because I was like, what did I just do? It's like you snap out of it, right? And that was really the only time. And it was at kind of the lowest of low. My grandma had just passed. I was living with a family that wasn't mine, even though I was so appreciative. I think everything was hitting me.
Sure.
And at that time when my grandma had passed, my mom was really bad, and her pimps were calling me just crazy stuff. My mom would call me and they would take the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do remember going to the lake by the bridge in Winnebago, because the Hertzogs lived off Dock Henry, which at that time wasn't completely closed off. I could hop the fence and be in Winnebago.
Mm-hmm.
So I did hold my breath. I wouldn't say I tried to drown myself. I just kept seeing how long I could hold my breath. And it was scary for me to the point where why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Did I want to end my life? I don't know if I wanted to end my life or just why.
Numb. Yeah. Whatever.
That was really the only time. I mean, I've gone through depression spells, but never suicidal that one night that really sticks and kind of was scary for me.
Mm-hmm. That was enough.
Yeah.
So as you've gotten older,
I've never said that out loud, by the way.
Well, thanks.
I know. I'm my cheeks just started getting red. I can't believe I just shared that.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all part of the healing, right? Is just being open and honest with it. So as you've gotten older and knowing psychology, it's been impactful and still is probably impactful in your life. Having gone through this, do you feel like trust? Obviously, that would be the thing that I would think would be most. That would make you most vulnerable is trust. And do you find yourself hard? And even if it's not trust, you don't even get to that point where you just stay guarded.
There's a reason I'm 38 and never married.
So, but
so yes.
You think it stems from that? Is it
absolutely?
Is it trust? Is that it?
It is trust, and also, as I stated, my defense mechanism is I want to see how far I can push people before they leave, because everyone in my life had left. Not by choice so much, but. Right, my dad, then my mom, then my grandma, then my grandpa, and not again some of those by choice, but it's still a loss.
Yep.
And so before I was heavily in counseling, in fact, with Paisley's dad, I would see how far I could push people before they would leave, and then be like, "Haha, I told you were gonna leave."
I knew you were gonna leave. Yeah.
Yeah. And it went through that, working through that, to then my next, and still to this day, I have to catch myself is making people hurt like I'm hurting. And I do that with words. Mm-hmm. Not with that. I do that with words. When
fight dirty.
Yes. But not name calling. It's more I go for things I know that are gonna trigger you. And it's not when I'm mad. It's when I am so hurt I don't know how to voice it. And so I would want you to feel the hurt I was feeling. And that was I would push people away by doing that. Right. Mm-hmm. And to your point, trust, even with my friends sometimes, I would get so jealous that if they hung out without me, I was left out and, oh my gosh, they're leaving me. I always thought everyone around me was going to leave me, so I wouldn't let them in. And until I would say even a year or two ago, I would not let people in. which is funny because I overshare, I overtalk, I over everything, but very few people actually know like the sensitivity surrounding how my childhood trauma affected me.
Right. Right.
Even, in my career, I am where I am today, but it's because I bounced around all the time. I always had multiple jobs because I was scared of if I didn't have one, what am I going to do? So I always had to have multiple. Instead of just being okay and living in today's moment, I'd always think, what about next week? What if I don't have a job? Or what if something happens? I always think the worst. And again, it's not because I'm negative. It's because
just preparation.
Prep for, because that would be the worst would happen.
It's been your reality. It's been your reality time and time again. So you're just trying to prep for what's probably going to happen to you again.
And I hate that. I hate that. And it's something every day still, even in my career, I have to really work. I never changed my message. I changed my messaging. So I never change my message. I always change my messaging depending on my audience. So it's something I really have to work on because in order to accomplish what I want, I always, even for work, think about the downstream effects or the negative effects if we implement this or if we change this, right? But that's also excelled my career because that's a rare skill set to have is, hey, we want to do these bells and whistles. No one's thinking about, okay, that's great, but like, let's think about every downstream effect that could happen in doing so. And that's really helped my career. And it's because of my upbringing. And also it's a negative I've turned into a positive.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you do for a career. What exactly you do professionally?
I'm a healthcare tech consultant. So I grew up as an end user myself. So medical billing, if you go to the doctor, you send a claim out the door. It's not just paid, right? Mm-hmm. You might get a bill in the mail. Half the time it's wrong.
Yep.
So I manage the team that does the rev cycle billing. But I took a step back in my career at Cerner to learn the build and the systems. And in healthcare, you're only as good as your system, your platform you're working out of. Every click's a dollar sign, especially with the med spa. I'm sure you can see like the operations, right? Mm-hmm. The money coming in the door is what matters. And in especially rev cycle healthcare, every click's a dollar sign. And so I learned how to do the build of these systems and connect the dots between the end user and the system, which is unique because usually you have an engineer and architect doing the build, but they've never built a claim to insurance. So they don't understand the downstream effects. Mm-hmm. And so I now bridge that gap for clients. And so I do build configuration
that's
for
like some
computers.
Next level smart stuff, Shay.
I have like a nerdy side to me, which people are very shocked to learn. I love sitting at home on a weekend with my glass of wine, logging into computer systems and like doing build. I love that. And I'm a big nerd. So
with this, is there a lot of troubleshooting, like trial and error, deductive reasoning?
No, there's a support system for that. I'm building like, if I'm a
So you own your company, right?
I have an LLC, and so I consult for companies, and I'll do implementations for like a Cerner product or
So who would hire you? The
providers, doctors' offices, hospitals. I manage hospitals.
So the doctor's office is going to call you and
usually it's like the leadership. So not the doctors, but their C-suite.
So they're going to call and say, hey, our billing, the way our billing system works,
we had a decrease in our reimbursement. We don't know what's going on. Come look at it. So I'll say.
So you're almost doing like some forensic accounting almost. Just using their system.
Yeah. I mean, but I'll look at their system and see if there's any integration issues or is it just end user workflow issue? Do we need to configure your system to match your billing rules?
So realistically, the software company themselves should be providing this service to their clients, right? And you're stepping in probably at a lack of service.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting. Very interesting. Wow.
Once they get the sale, they're done.
Yeah, right. I know.
But the maintenance of the system is what's critical for the success and the reimbursement.
Because stuff breaks in the tech world.
Oh, and it's not only that. Look how, as much as our government changes day to day, so do billing rules.
Regulations.
And insurance and payer guidelines every other day. In fact, when COVID hit, my team was having to rebuild claims left and right because on like a claim form, for example, there could be 32 boxes. Every box has to be identical to get paid or to match appropriately to get paid. Think about if your house floods. You don't get a check from insurance like that. They have to take pictures. They have to look at the timeline, make sure everything aligns, and then they cut a check. 90% of the time, the claim's not aligning. So they're denying the claim, and you have to have a team to rebill. You have to build your system to catch this on the front end before it makes it to the payers, which is Blue Cross,
Right.
Otherwise, you're spending money trying to get money in the door. So what I do is I build rules in the system to prevent claims from going out the door that won't get paid.
So what was the leading purpose for you wanting to go on your own? Like, I can do this on my own.
I'm very stubborn, and so I left Cerner, went to the startup life.
How long were you at Cerner?
8 years, 8 or 9 years.
All right, so you got a good foundation.
Yeah.
In this.
And it's because I'm stubborn in that fight or flight. I don't believe in stay in your lane. So when I left Cerner, I went to the startup life, and I would notice like their rev cycle reimbursement would be down, and I would look at the system and it's so dated. And so I would start digging into their system, and once I would configure some rules, which I learned at Cerner, we would increase our reimbursement by $20,000 a month, $40,000 a month, $100,000 a month. And I was like, this is unique. And usually in my role at that time, which is a rev cycle director, you don't know the behind the scenes. So I would start questioning our IT teams. I would start questioning our engineering teams. I would start questioning them, like walk me, and not in a negative way, but walk me through why you're doing it this way.
Yeah.
And, and it's that mentality of I have to understand full cycle so I can prepare myself. That has carried over to my career. So I don't just ask my team. I'm asking every team involved. Walk me through your process so I can understand, and then I can connect the dots between all these siloed departments.
Help me help you.
Yeah. And then in starting doing so, I started increasing all these startup reimbursements, their cash acceleration. And so I started getting asked to look at companies and do analysis. And I got to the point I couldn't do full-time and my LLC. I did both for a while, and I had to make the leap.
There you go.
And so I made the leap, and it's great. It's scary. And
so I see you occasionally going to these conferences and stuff like that. Are they just like software tech conferences?
Yeah,
Is that
exactly what it is. I try to stay up to date with not just the software my clients are working out of, but every solution, because it's not a one-size-fits-all industry. So I want to know everything about all these other software vendors so I can be up to date. I can speak the language and then make recommendations, not because I'm getting commission, but because I truly believe that's the right product. In fact, I don't take commission from the Cerners, Athenas, Epics that I'm selling. So my clients will trust me to actually take my recommendation, not because I'm getting a cut, but because this is what, I'll make my money from the implementation. But yeah, I'm looking at all these vendors.
Do you get paid? Do you just charge a flat consulting fee, or do you get paid? Do you say, hey, I'll increase your rev and I want a percentage of your increase?
I don't take a percentage of net collections because they're usually already paying that to their vendor. I usually charge, depending on the project type, a lump sum or hourly rate. I establish that on the front end once I do my analysis and see where their gaps are that need to be fixed.
Do any of your clients just keep you on retainer where you just like a monthly billing and you're at their call if they need you? Anything like that?
Yeah. I do. I have my clients, they all range, right? I have some contracts that are 2 years. That's my hospitals. I have some that if they need me to look into something, I can't be available in the day, but I can do it at night. So I'm on a retainer. I also have like long-term projects where if it's longer than a year and a half or 2 years and I can take their benefits, that's another type of contract. Yeah.
Cool. You got any people on your team, anybody working for you at this point? Are you
no,
one man band right
it's
now?
one man. I have been looking into India. I've always managed offshore everywhere I've worked. And so I love our team in India that I've ever worked for anywhere I went. So again, it's that trust issue I have that I need to work through. But
do you think that if you had another you and could you scale your business?
Yes. If I had another me, yes. It's a very unique skill set. But I do think, I'm a firm believer in once I find good people, I bring them with me everywhere I go. And in fact, I have 3 people that have all worked with me at multiple companies that I bring with me. And I'm trying to teach them the IT side of what I do so they can maybe join me in my LLC. Right now I'm placing them with these organizations that and they're full-time for them.
Okay.
When I say bring with me, it's because I grow out departments for orgs as well. And so if they need good people, I have like my rock stars.
Do you charge a headhunter fee?
Nope.
for those at all?
No, because them being there helps me.
Helps you,
yeah. I mean, you're only as good as your team, and some of these, even though I'm a consultant, some of these organizations hire me to grow out departments for them, and so you would never, some of their own employees don't even know I'm a consultant. They think I'm an employee of that company. And placing, again, my people, it's paying them back for always being great, when they reported to me, and I always try to get them more comp, and I'm always trying to grow them, and I will always take them with me because you're only as good as your team. 100%. And so they'll get to the point where, again, they have the end user side. I got to teach them the tech side. So we're working on that.
Girl, holy smokes. I mean, you were like, I'm blown away, Shay. I'm blown away. Just to like come in, bring all that professionalism, and then I'm a pretty high level person, business wise, and what you just went through, just talking about that, just kind of gave me a little anxiety. That's a lot. You're doing a lot, girl.
Yeah,
and
I'm psycho.
Yeah, no, it's it's awesome, and you're channeling your energy. Obviously, you've got a lot of energy, and you're channeling it. Just everything you're doing is positive, and man, you're a special girl.
More ways than one.
Yeah.
Some people would argue more ways than one.
You are special.
Yeah. Are you still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're still recording. So my question for you is, I want to know, because I know truth at its core. God has had his hand in your life this entire time. And your story is of I don't even want to call it redemption, because you really didn't need to be redeemed. You were just cared for. Your story of being cared for by God and having his hand in your life, although it may not have seemed like it, but he did. It's meant for something. That is a deep, deep story that is meant to be told and shared and give hope, because there's girls, there's people that are going to listen to this that are, quite frankly, on the verge of suicide. You're going to give somebody hope. Like you don't get to come out of this story unscathed. And I'm not going to say you're unscathed. I know you've got your battle wounds and you've been through some stuff, but you're alive. You're alive and you're well, and you're rocking and you're thriving, and life is, you're doing very, very well. And so, God's had his hand in your life. And I guess my question for you is, what is your spiritual life? What is it? We haven't talked
evolving.
About that. Okay.
It's evolving. So to your point, I'm at the age now where I'm reflecting and still processing.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to have a relationship with God when all this was going on.
Well, yeah.
And it was hard to say, especially as an elementary, junior high, you're at that age where kids are entitled. And I was thinking, looking at my friends, living, having both parents, why couldn't it just be one of my parents
where
this
is
way?
this loving God?
Yeah, why, again, okay, maybe I could not have a dad, but why'd you have to do my dad and my mom?
Yeah.
Where's the lesson in this? And so it was really hard for me. I always believed in a higher power. I just didn't know what it looked like. And it was really hard for me to accept that there was a God that cared about me if I'm going through all this, because it was blow after blow for, 15 years. So I'm at the point now where I'm accepting, I'm accepting what happened to me and working through my faith, because I believe in a higher power. I believe in a God for sure. But what religion is that? I take some stuff from every religion, right? I don't think there's like a one way path. Same with politics. I know that's another story. I'm not one way or the other, and that's really hard, especially in today's world to accept.
I've never voted.
I didn't until this year.
Yeah,
this is the first year. But yeah, so I am working through my faith now and understanding and learn to appreciate I am where I am because of what happened to me. And that's also a hard pill to swallow. And I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how to answer that. Okay. And what's great is Paisley's very strong in her faith. She has Bible verses all over her room. Her and Chris go to church together. I've gone to church with them a couple times and it was uncomfortable for me. Not because I don't want to pray and I don't believe in it. I'm just trying to understand what church is for me. So I want to go to multiple churches, and I love Unity Village. So, I'm just trying to figure that out for myself. I do believe in God. I do believe in a higher power. Yeah, and I love that Paisley is, and I'll encourage that forever, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want her to have a strong faith. It's just I'm working through still childhood trauma and try to understand what that looks like for me.
I want to recommend Oaks of Righteousness. Have you heard of that? It's a program. I don't know what all churches. Vineyard is one of the churches. That's where Dominique and I went when I first got sober, and I really dove into my faith there. And Oaks of Righteousness is a spiritual healing class, and I went through that. It's like 10 weeks.
Okay.
And it's 4 or 5 hours a day.
Are you going to link the link or send me a text?
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'll figure out how to get you the info. I need to figure out if they're still doing it. I think they are, but it's an amazing spiritual healing. It's intense.
Yeah.
I mean, it is super, super intense, but it is a spiritual healing class. And so I'm gonna poke you a little bit.
No,
and
I love it.
You with
Please
your
do.
faith and drop my Jesus comments to you.
I'm open to it, and I love it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not against it. I just, and you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I am in every aspect of my life until it comes to like my faith and talking about how I actually am feeling. Like counseling, it took 10 years for me to finally open up to a counselor how I'm feeling, and not just like, when you're trained to keep your voice in, it's hard to finally let it out. And so I'm open. I want you to send everything.
Yeah.
I'll try anything. That's the thing with me.
I just
Not drugs, but I'll try anything once.
I just know that, there's a like a whole nother level of freedom for you.
Yeah.
That lies in that. And so I will try to expose as much of that truth to you as I possibly can, and invite you to church. Come with us one week too.
Perfect. I'm open.
Yeah.
And you have to come see the new house too.
Yeah, I know. We do need to get over there. Well, so when I invited you to come on, and we talked about this, was there anything that you had in your head? Like, I'm going to use this platform. This is, like I said, it's going to go on for 20 years. It's going to be out there on YouTube, and there's going to be a message. So, did you have anything in your mind that you wanted to make sure that you got off to share, with anybody for encouraging purposes? And if you do, say it. If you didn't have anything on your mind, I want to ask that you share something, like some words of encouragement for, 13-year-old Shaylee.
Yeah, I would say trust your instinct. If something doesn't seem right, it's usually not, and you're not a product of your environment. And there comes a point when you're in such a traumatic experience, no matter if it's addiction, suicide, depression, you can turn right or left. And that is going to make the decision for the rest of your life. And especially with social media today, there's things you can't take back. So I'm really horrible at reacting, and I've had to really work on processing, then reacting. But to anyone listening, you don't have to be a product of your environment. Get out. You can build relationships later on, but protect yourself first. You shouldn't have to be a parent for your parents. And again, I have 2 extra rooms if anybody needs them. And you have a choice. You have a choice, and you can choose to be a product of your environment, or you can choose to get out of it.
Amen. Girlfriend, you're beautiful inside now, and I appreciate you so much.
A little heads up, I would be on camera next time.
You got it.
Shit,
you're
people.
Killing it. All right, you ready for this? This is the last fun piece, and we're out. The speed round.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Morning or night?
Night.
Go-to pump song?
Burn It to the Ground.
Let's go.
By Nickelback. That was what we came out on Spurs.
Last book you read? Or audio?
Brene Brown, something, self-help. I'm into self-help.
Okay, good.
But my ADD, I can't really get through a book.
Audio? You do audiobooks?
No, I read.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it.
Audio, I forget what's going on.
I'm narcoleptic. I start falling asleep. Favorite movie or TV show?
I don't know. I can't answer. I don't watch
Sneakers
TV
or sandals?
Sneakers.
Dream sports team that you'd love to play for?
I can't do sports, so Minnesota dance team.
There you go.
Trinity Baker, baby.
All right. One word to describe yourself.
Resilient.
Yes. That's one of the R's in Stronger, right?
I did not.
Yeah. So it's spiritual, trustworthy, resilient, open-minded, noble, genuine, encouraging, and relentless.
I am relentless too. So the 2 R's really.
So you're going to get to take a bracelet with you.
I love that.
All right. Favorite emoji?
The rolling the eyes.
Would you rather win a championship or a personal award? Ooh.
Personal award. I'm very big of words of affirmation.
Okay. Most used app on your iPhone?
Instagram.
Love it. Sports hero growing up, or just any hero. It could be a superhero or whatever.
Mark McGuire.
Love that. And
favorite singer, Frank Sinatra. Got to throw that out there.
There you go. Favorite singer.
Frank Sinatra. My dog's named Frankie for a reason.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I love that.
I used to sing Strangers in the Night before I could talk.
That's great. All right, sister. That is it. I am going to do our little outro. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm like sweating.
All right.
That was a lot. Do people dance to this?
Well, that's another episode of the Stronger Leader podcast. Shaylee, you are amazing, girl, and I wish many blessings over you in your life. And thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Love you so much.
Remember this: be good, be blessed, and be stronger.